Hey everyone, it is that time of the week, right? Monday motivation, some inspiration, talking about 7 ways to whatever, something better than whatever it was that we were doing before we tuned into this show. And we've got a quick update here. My co-founder, you see, Phil, is not here. He's not with us here today. And he has had a major health setback, but in true Phil fashion, he is absolutely resilient, which is on point for today's topic, but we'll get to there and to Brenda in just a second. And all of the prayers that everybody has been bringing forward and just good thoughts, good vibes, good energy to Phil, it's paying off. He is going to heal, so he'll be back with us just as soon as he can be. But in the meantime, you're here, you're stuck with me, Dr. LL, and we've got a resilience coach on hand here today, Brenda Eaton. She's part of Brenda Eaton Life. You can find her there. Brenda, why don't you give folks a little bit of a background into what you do and your path to resilience coaching?
Sure, absolutely. I've been in public special education for over 20 years, and my particular presence on this particular topic comes from that lens. I'm a parent of a child with special needs, so I had to learn to deal with a lot of stressors and a lot of unknowns. And how do you do this? What do you do now? And just knowing that I was always stressed a lot. And I think over the 20 years, besides having a parent, being a parent, having a child with special needs, I learned how to become more resilient, and it became a part of what I was doing as a professional, but now also as a parent and a private practitioner.
And like they say, right? Necessity is the mother of invention. And
Yes.
literally in this case here, being a mom of a special needs kids. And for folks that may be new to Helpopedia, we do have a full focus on youth development, but we also have a chapter that is focused on special needs. And so we're committed to finding solutions, uniting other service providers, coaches, folks, parents that are having similar experiences so we can create that community for everyone to lean on and help each other. But let's come back to this. So Brenda's talked about her reasons for digging into resilience and finding happiness. And I can imagine the stress of having any child is pretty
Right.
exacting. The US, I think the Surgeon General recently named parenting as a major source of stress and health condition. What do you think of that?
Yes, I think we fail to see what's all involved. Like, we go to school for all these different things, but not to be a parent. And actually, the research shows even parents of kids with challenges, and since the pandemic, that the mental health piece is a big component of it. 1 in 4 households has a child with some type of need of some sort. So it's really become commonplace to really need to work on these things. And while I'm a behavior analyst, I also am a positive psychology practitioner. So a lot of the strategies from positive psychology can really help with this, need for support with wellness and resilience that we are faced with, post pandemic. So
I think it's incredible. The work that you have before you, no doubt, is just piling up because there's just been a huge new set, I guess, a new reality for so many parents and for so many children post pandemic. You look at the numbers, 2/3 of teens and college students are medicated for antidepressant and anti anxiety. That's outrageous.
it is. I had not heard that. Thank you for
Oh,
sharing. Yeah, it's such a challenge, and I'm a big believer. If there's others out there that believe in trying interventions before medication, I'm a big supporter of that because I think there are things that we can do, simple things like looking at our mindset,
right.
thinking about you know, trying to move our away from negative thinking into positive thinking, being grateful. So there's lots of things we can do to really build that happiness and the resilience, because that really is the piece that falls in to help make resilience possible is, that resistance to negative challenges and so on and so forth, and being able to be more able to bounce back.
I agree. There's a solution for everything. And maybe it's worth looking sometimes at a stepwise solution where medication or hospitalization or other things are really the last resort, like when you need to get there. And it starts at that foundational level. Can we build these techniques and these thoughts and feelings of being more positive and finding things to find joy in the morning? I know myself, I feel like I have very high resilience, and like everybody else, I've had my share of shite, right?
Right.
It happens. And I've worked through it with my resilience. And the first thing I do every morning is I see my little doggo, there, the marvelous Miss Maisie, and I'm instantly filled with joy and gratitude that I have this wonderful little furry being in my life. And then I take her for a walk, and we have the neighborhood to ourselves because we go really, really early. And we hang out with the deer and the bunnies and all of that. And I just focus on, wow, today can be a good day. Yesterday is done. Today is a new day. And I think it's important. It sets the tone for me for the day.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And having a practice like that is really important. I think a big component of it. And I know for myself, it's the same thing. I get up and, whether, it's, sitting and having a cup of coffee quietly, also looking at my dog.
Another dog lover. Not that we don't love cats on the show. We love cats. We love all furry things. Ferrets, guinea pigs, everything. I've even got fish behind me.
I do too. I have a fish too.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yes.
Although our fish are small, you can't see them. It's in the dark right now. But yeah, I mean, just be kind to your our little friends. But anyway, so go on. So nothing like a good cup of coffee.
Yeah. So, mindfulness is a big part of what I believe in sharing with others, in regards to growing their happiness. Because, mindfulness can be a lot of different things to different people. It could be yoga. It could be, eating food mindfully. It could be meditation. It could be breathing exercises. But the fact that you are, in the present moment, I think is the most key piece, because I'm preaching to the choir that, if you're constantly focusing on the past, then that leads to depression. And if you're worried about the future, that leads to anxiety. So being present in the moment is so important, because that's really all we have is this present moment. And when you are able to, reconcile your past and, have strategies for any future worries, knowing that this current present moment worrying about isn't going to impact it or, have any influence over it, taking action towards it, having agency for your future, and doing it through positive emotions, positive practices, and habits is just such an important piece to, I think, mental wellness. And a lot of times we think the absence of mental illness is it mental wellness. Well, not necessarily. We have. The University of Pennsylvania has a positive psychology center, and the idea of PERMA, which is being positive, being engaged, having meaning, having achievement, like different things to focus on. When we focus on these other things instead of the negative thoughts that might be running through our minds, we're able to move into a better place. But it requires work. It doesn't happen naturally. So.
And that's the thing. And we're going to get into your 7 ways to be happy and resilient in just a moment here, just as we're setting it up,
Yes.
build up here.
Right. Build up.
Right. Is part of that at that foundational level is really not expecting miracles. You can't just, I'm going to take a pill and everything's going to be better, or I'm just going to hit the easy button and everything's going to be fine. You said it yourself right there. That's the key. It takes work. There is no easy button with any of this. There's no easy button to get through adolescence. It's difficult. It's very difficult.
Right.
And it can be extremely difficult for some kids. There's no easy button to get through your depression, or you've suffered some significant loss, be it a loss of a job, a loss of a pet, a loss of a loved one. These are all things that are very, very big and heavy and take time to work through. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to be prepared to get up every day, face that challenge and go, okay, now what?
Right, right. And I agree with you. I say, if you don't want to take the medication route, you can do this. I agree 100%. I don't want to endorse anyone stopping medication in any way
No,
if you're
no,
already
no.
taking it.
Listen to
Or
your
if
doctor.
yes, exactly. I just wanted to clarify that. But this can also help in addition to any kind of treatment you may already, maybe if you are on medication or if you are in treatment of some sort. This is something that can augment what you're doing. So it's something that is different than what you would probably, somewhat different than what you would probably get from a therapist, because I'm a board certified behavior analyst, so I can do, instead of acceptance and commitment therapy, I can do acceptance and commitment training. So it's a little different window, but using similar strategies and so forth. But really, again, just moving into a positive practice of positive habits, routines, and knowing when you're feeling a little down that maybe it's time to think of your gratitudes, or what strategies you can do to kind of change that cortisol into oxytocin to make that chemistry in your body better.
Right?
So,
And
yes.
I'll add to this, if I may, and then we're going to get into your seven ways to be happy and resilient. Is that here you framed it that these 7 tips and that you're about to share can be ways to augment somebody going through some mental conditioning, mental therapy, recovery program. But I'd like to say that this is foundational for anybody and everybody. We're living in a chaotic world with a lot of uncertainty. It's an election year, no politics here, but there's
Right.
a lot of craziness, right? Extra craziness.
Mhm.
There's war offshore. There's all kinds of things. So if people could really look earnestly at Brenda's 7 tips here on what to do, I think people could start moving towards being happier. And one last thing I will add, the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, every year they assess all kinds of things. They assess risky behaviors in youths, how many are vaping, how many are this, that, unprotected sex, all of the stuff, right? All the risky behaviors. But what they also survey, they've been surveying teenage girls since the start of the pandemic, actually the year before, 2019. And then every year, assessing teenage girls 13 to 17 years of age and asking them if they feel happy. Do they feel hopeful?
Mhm.
And 2019, it was, I don't remember the numbers. It was at this level, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, but 2024, it went
Ah,
back up. So
okay.
there is hope out there. So
Yes.
with that,
Yeah.
Brenda, give us
Yes.
tip number 1. How
Okay.
do we start being happier and more resilient? What do we do?
First off, you've got to have insight into how you're feeling. So sometimes we just kind of like trip through our day and are on automatic pilot. And when we don't choose to think about whether how we're feeling, we may end up being in a place we may not want to be in. We may be unhappy. We may be feeding into, we have a negativity bias. Let me share that. A negativity bias as human beings, because we were, gone through the ice age and cavemen and waiting for the next thing, to jump out and kill us. So we're prone to negativity. We pay more attention to negativity. It's our news, it's everything. So we need to flip that script and learn to look for the bright side of things. And not to say there's anything wrong with being pessimistic, but optimism can increase your health and well-being, and knowing and being insightful about how your day was, what's going on with you, and how you think about things is really helpful. So that's number one.
All right. Now, I think you could probably talk for hours just
Yes.
about that alone, right? Because it
Right.
ties into what you were saying earlier in the podcast about mindfulness. If we sit there, and I was just reading some other viral YouTuber, Mind Kunks, like where you just eat horrible amounts of food and you can't have any mindfulness related to that. And
Mhm.
even with our words and our choices, we can, for the most part, choose how we want to feel. And if we're insightful and thinking about, do I want to react this way? Do I want to let this bother me? I think this in being insightful is so important. All right. Tip number
Okay.
2.
Tip number two. Focusing on your strengths, having a strength-based approach to your life and what you do. You know, it's easy. We're our own worst enemy. You know, we need to learn to have self-compassion for ourselves when things don't go right. And also knowing, you know, when you have something tough coming up, what are your strengths? And lean into your strengths. You know, what are your values? What are your abilities? And being able to use those as a stepping stone to make yourself feel more secure and capable are great ways to increase your happiness and your resilience.
And hello to all of our guests out there and our regulars, including like Christine Bernat. She focuses on tips and has a method to help reduce anxiety in the moment. Very, very quick and effective. So thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. And let's continue on with Brenda. All right, tip number 3 on being happy and insightful.
So being connected. Sometimes, you know, we move about our lives and, you know, how many times, you know, have you passed somebody in your house, you know, in the morning and you haven't really connected, or you live with them, but you don't really know what they're up to. So knowing, you know, about what's going on with the relationships that in your life, thinking about, you know, are you having differences? Are you holding a grudge? Learning to have forgiveness, learning to understand, you know, that's kind of a past thing, something that happened in the past. So how can you reconcile your past and be good with it? Think about forgiveness. And if you can't forgive, accept it and deal with it in whatever way, but try to move past it so it's not lingering and you're not dealing with it constantly. Um, being connected with people around you, kindness, being able to be kind, appreciate things, appreciating other people. Those are all great ways to be connected and will help increase your happiness.
I agree. So like that level of connection going beyond the superficial, hey, how are you? Fine. I mean, where does that get any of us?
Right,
Right.
right, exactly, exactly. So yeah, being able to take that extra minute and find out, hey, how's your kid doing, or whatever else, it just helps build that sense of community and connection. Another one is awareness, and being aware. That to me, mindfulness falls under that. Um, Again, being able to kind of have a meta awareness, which is really being able to look at the smaller things as far as what might be going on, and then habits, being aware of what tends to trigger you into kind of maybe a spiral of negativity or difficulty, and being aware that it's happening when you learn it. So there's insight, but then there's awareness. When you're aware of how
Mhm.
that particular trigger is going to affect you and what kind of downward spiral, if you already know what's going to happen, you know, this is going to be one of those things that you know where you're going to be. So the longer you're in that downward spiral, the harder it's going to be to dig back out of it. So any way you can be aware of the things that trigger you and how they make you feel, and you can reverse that, that's going to make a big difference.
And as you said, mindful, there is a TikToker, Jules, who is currently viral because she's talking about, you know, being very mindful, very demure. And so that is a very much I guess, a buzzword right now in pop culture and buzz phrase.
Okay.
Maybe not so much the demure. We don't really need that. It's okay, good sometimes to be angry and like and do things and kind
Yeah.
of you know, depending, you know,
Yep.
on conditions and stuff and
Yep.
getting out. But certainly that whole level of mindfulness, I just think it's so important. Like you said, recognize your triggers and say, have I been triggered? Can I raise my emotional intelligence so that I don't respond to the trigger and I just try to, like they say, bite your tongue, right? You want to yell,
Yeah.
chew it.
Yeah. And that's a perfect lead into the next one, which is social emotional resilience. So
Ah,
learning to be socially and emotionally resilient so that, just like you said, you know, bite your tongue. You know, the big part I think with that mindfulness can bring to help with this is you're present in the moment, you're doing your deep breathing and pausing, taking a pause before you say something. So are you pausing? Are you stopping? considering the environment around you, the people around you? Is what you're going to say be meaningful to the environment? Is it just for you? Or can you make it impactful for those around you? Because then you're pausing and you're doing the best. You're being altruistic almost and trying to do what's best for those around you. So instead of just, you know, saying something that might inadvertently be insensitive or something you regret doing. So, that falls in under, the self-regulation piece, learning to have balance in your life, knowing that, if you're doing too much this way or too much that way, that you really kind of need to be balanced in the middle. So there's lots of things that kind of fall into that social emotional resilience piece.
And I've heard a lot about this and work with different folks studying that, but I've never heard that component, that wraparound, bringing that altruism sort of lens to it. And I think that that's fantastic. It's not just, am I going to say this? It's for me. I'm not going to say this. How is it good the other person going to react? But can I say something or respond in a way that's going to have a positive impact in my whole environment?
Right.
Wow, that really takes it next level.
That's mine. Thank you. Because
bravo, Brenda.
Yay. That's how I try to live. That's my goal. So, you can have all kinds of busy mind chatter with like 60,000 thoughts a day. So my goal is to have that presence, be present, and then take that pause, consider what's going on, and think about what's going to be the best thing in that particular moment. And I think that to me has really been powerful for myself. So I think being able to do that is really powerful. So
it can be a whole movement around the whole, like, be kind. I was like, be kind to people and pets. I like to add that part on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this. The think altruistically before you speak. Probably needs some work as a tagline, but
yes,
great concept.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Number 6.
Yes. So attention and focus. So, they kind of, they all kind of sound similar and they all kind of overlap a little bit, but attention and focus, talking about cognitive flexibility. So, what you pay attention to is what you're going to have in your world. So if you pay attention to the negative thoughts, because, thoughts feed the emotions that feed the behavior, that all that. So learning to have, setting intentions, which I'm sure we've all heard in one way or another, having an intention and setting your focus and your actions on those intentions. So, it sounds so simple, but in the morning, I'm going to work on using my strengths today. And I'm going to, that's going to help my social and emotional resilience. And I'm going to be more cognitively flexible when my teenage son tells me off. So, learning to be adaptive and knowing, I need to be more humorous than stern, because right now stern's not working, and, I need to try something else. So, if you're focusing on things that are not going to be helping you in regards to what you want to achieve, and you're not adapting because, hey, pay attention. If it didn't work last time, try something else. So, whenever you're doing something, you got to pay attention and put your attention to what you're doing so that you can make a difference with what you're spending your time thinking about.
I'll ask you, as the behavioral analyst and resilience coach. So you said if something didn't work last time, try something new. Is it okay that we try it again? But then if you strike out twice, then switch it up.
Yeah, when I say if it didn't work before, I'm talking about those situations that you've been negative for all you are is negative. So if that's not working for you, then let's think about what you can. So no, I'm not saying try it once and then be done with it. I'm talking about, you're so frustrated with, something your spouse does, or something that your neighbor does, or something that your child is doing. So think about how you can be cognitively flexible in some other way to change, because you've asked the neighbor to stop putting their garbage on your side of the driveway so you can't get out in the morning. So try to think of something else. Try a different strategy. Instead, move their garbage and sit it in the middle. No, put the garbage over to their side. try to think of something else that's going to be more productive than just creating a cycle of frustration and aggravation and so forth. So
Uh,
that's more in line with what I'm talking about. So yes, yes. So, I think there's a particular amount, like after, 30% of trying something, it's time to change to something else. So, yeah.
no, I get it. And just,
Yeah.
I'm snickering here thinking about the garbage cans because I have to go out and move them. I saw that the garbage folks just did their collection because in our driveway, just a little sidebar, a little, something here we've got all these wonderful guests. They know me and they've known some of these stories. We have a long driveway that's 2 cars wide, but I have to get into my garage and I've got to navigate around my stepdaughter's parked car and then the garbage can. So like I'm like, and there's a shrub bed that comes out into the garbage, into the driveway. Like, I don't know why it was designed that way. We didn't do that, but there it is. So it's a freaking obstacle course.
Right.
And there's no point me telling anyone to just don't put the garbage cans there. It's hard on that side. Don't, but like, I just think, okay, I'll go move them before I move my car. That's all.
There you go. And that's your great way of coping with it. So you don't have the frustration of talking to other people about it and everything else. So
Let it go. Yeah, they're garbage cans.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Bring us home. Number 7.
Well,
sorry, go ahead,
last
Brenda.
but not least, is transcendence. And transcendence is, I guess you might consider a religion, but they're just a higher thinking, so thinking about hope, love, purpose, and, like hope is a positive emotion, but there needs to be a negative aspect to it to have hope. Like you have to want hope because something is currently happening that you don't want. Love is more than just yourself. Like I said, being altruistic about an environment. What is your purpose? My purpose is to help other people, be examples for other people, that kind of thing. And know that there's post-traumatic growth. So there's not just post-traumatic stress disorder, but you can move past that and you can actually move into post-traumatic growth. And I feel I'm in that vein, in that road in regards to all the stress and trauma that I've dealt with in regards to the experiences in my life. So those are the 7.
Well, I think that this is fantastic. And what I'll ask you again, if you wouldn't mind, Brenda, just kind of take the folks through the 7 steps again to ways to be happy and more resilient. I think they'd love to hear the full 7.
Sure. So having insight into how you're feeling, what you're thinking, knowing your strengths and using your strengths, your values to your benefit in difficult situations. Think about your connections with, friends, family. Use forgiveness when you need to, release and open. Awareness, thinking about mindfulness, being present in the moment. Social and emotional resilience, considering how you can be present with others, regulating yourself. Attention and focus. What are you paying attention to? Is it the negative or the positive? And then finally, transcendence, those feelings of hope, love, and purpose. So those are the 7 ways to increase your happiness and resilience.
Oh, fabulous. So thank you, Brenda Eaton, behavioral analyst and resilience coach. You can find her at brendaeatonlife.com. It's .com at the end?
It's actually brendaeaton.life or growyourhappy.co.
Okay, let me get that properly done. Sorry, and like everybody's got all these different domains now because, of course, all of
I'm
the,
sorry. Yes.
No. I've got different domains too. People go, no. And they send it to whatever, laurel@steeris.com or whatever. And they're like, it bounced. I'm like, well, yeah, it's not a .com.
Yes. So growyourhappy.co is a website and you can find more information. That is another way. I'm also Brenda at brendaeaton.life if you want to reach out to me and email me. And again, growyourhappy.co is another. And you can reach me at Brenda at growyourhappy.co as well. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry I slaughtered it with the .com. So again, everybody here, Brenda Eaton, growyourhappy.co. as well as BrendaEaton.life, and you can find her and email her here. Plus, I hope that you'll see her again and again here on our YouTube channel. I think we all need to learn how to be happier and more resilient. So Brenda will say bye to folks here, but I'll ask you to stay on as we close out. We'll have a chat. Thank you so much for being on our show. And I hope
Thank
everybody
you.
out there
Yes.
got something out of this. And I thank you for participating, being active in the chat, and coming here every Monday at 3 p.m. to join us on Help Talk. Bye, everyone.